Hello, Oscillator Sync here. Last week I was at Superbooth, not that you would know that because I'm terrible at social media and I didn't mention it anywhere, but it was. And as with last year when I attended for the first time, it was an amazing event. If you are into this world of electronic music instruments and you ever get the opportunity to go, you really should. Lots of interesting things and interested people, and the vibes immaculate as always. So I've come for a walk outside in the countryside because people seem to like that the last time I did it, to talk about what I saw. I tried to take more videos and more sound samples than I did last year. I took much more equipment and I quickly realised that I'm not Bo Beats, I'm not Nick Bat, and also I don't like getting in the way of people. So there are a few more sound samples than last year, but yeah, mostly I'm just going to talk about what I saw that I thought was interesting, and hopefully maybe mention some things that weren't so widely covered by other people that you might be interested in as well. The list is kind of organised into sections, I guess, but yeah, I'll put chapter markers in the video if you want to jump to any particular theme. So I want to start by talking about a couple of the things that made me smile the most when I was trying them out. They just had a particular vibe to them that I really enjoyed. And the first one is the Sound Workshop Chord with a Q, U at the start anyway. It's a 4-voice drone synthesizer with really lovely sounding oscillators and a really lovely sounding filter and a really lovely sounding distortion circuit with an LFO paired along with that. And yeah, all of that stuff is nice, and obviously it's the sort of stuff I'm into, but the aesthetics of this thing are off the chart. One of the nicest looking instruments I saw the entire time I was at Superbooth. Just perfectly walks the line between sort of elegant and playful. Yeah, really great. I'm hopefully going to get hold of one to show you on the channel in a few weeks' time. The next one I want to mention is the Manifold Research Centre Antelope. This is a really interesting sounding experimental drum machine built around a 2-filter core with a really interesting sounding effects unit and a experimental, unusual sequencer, and an interesting way to cross-modulate these sequencer channels as well using these little magnetic chess pieces. And it also has C-vehicle feedback built into it, and I spent quite a long time playing with it, and I just had to keep stopping and speaking to the guy that made it and just telling him how cool it was, because I was just having so much fun with it. Yeah, definitely one to watch, definitely one that's on my list. Not for everyone, I get it, but for those of you who are into that kind of thing, I think it's definitely one to watch out for. Keeping on the same sort of theme, I also got a chance to take another look at the Mad Sound Factory drop, which was one of my favourites from last year. It's now in production, I think. It's a aggressive, monophonic, experimental drum machine groove box. You'll see there's a theme here, and yeah, it still sounds really mad, and yeah, still a really big fan of that. And definitely also on the list of things I want to show on the channel. But as a surprise, they also had another box in the same form factor called Grit, which is a wave shaper, wave folder, noise shaper, filter, envelope follower, LFO, sort of groovable effects unit, groovable distortion and destruction unit, which was also really fun. I ran drop into Grit and it was very angry and very fun. The filter on it just sounds absolutely crazy. Yeah, so that's also something that I want to check out a bit more on the channel, hopefully in the coming months. I was also treated on the Bastel stand by a performance by Vaclav himself with the new Wavbard, their second entry into their new Castle version 2 series. And it's just great seeing the makers of these instruments so passionate and so connected with them and just having so much fun with them. He jammed for much longer than I can sort of show in this video, but it sounds really, really good. I have some stuff I want to take a look at with that. I was meant to have one on the channel by now, but there was a shipping mix-up. But I'll be following up with that in the coming weeks. I want to try it in a much more gentle environment, much sort of more ambient, generative kind of thing. So that's something that, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to having a play with in a little while. One of the things I was really, really hoping was going to be at the event, which was, I'm a massive fan of LEP and the philosophy behind their instruments. I've shown off some of the stuff on the channel with some of their sort of drone boxes. I've also got a multicaster that I need to do a video on that I bought as well. I was really, really hoping they would have the ARPA loop, which they did, and I had an opportunity to spend some time with it, and it's really, really fantastic. It is a esoteric analog groove box, got drum parts and synth parts, and it's all put together in a way. I feel like their instruments are kind of like an alternate reality, almost like some of the more established paradigms of how we do things with sequencers, with synths, just weren't ever established, and it's all done with some crazy 3D sequencing and clock dividers, and yeah, it's really, really, really cool. There's a dog. One of the benefits of being outside. Yeah, I think I'm going to buy one because I just think that stuff's so cool. So definitely check that out if you are looking for something that is not a 808 or 303. A big surprise, again sticking with drum machines, was the new Vermona drum ding. I think it's a prototype. I don't know whether you can buy it yet. What this is a sort of expanded DRM1 drum voice. It's kind of got all of the different parts that are used in the DRM1 to make it sounds, but all in one voice. And then that's paired with a sort of modern digital sequencer and sampler. And the idea is that you make your sounds on the sort of DRM1 analog voice and then very seamlessly sample them in real time to then use in the digital sample playback, which has parameter locks, has effects, all of that kind of stuff. You can also load other samples as well. It's a really interesting idea, and I love the sound of the Vermona drum machines. The DRM1 is one of the first things that I ever featured on the channel, so I have my DRM1. And the fact you can load other samples just means it's a sample-based groove box with that analog voice. It's going to be interesting to see where it fits into the wider pantheon of instruments that are out there, but the analog voice is really, really flexible and really, really good sounding. So I hope it does well. Unexpected and a fairly novel concept as well, and it worked really well. Like, it was really seamless in use. So yeah, one to watch out for. Interesting to see how it's going to fit in with everything else that's available. So kind of on the far reaches of what you could call maybe a groove box, I managed to spend some time with the Herbs and Stones Moose. I did have a little bit of time with it at Bristonica as well, and it just sounds really, really good. There is something about the sound of that instrument that just really appeals to me. The filter, the way that the oscillators sound, it's just a good sound basically that I really, really like. Obviously there's a fairly esoteric way to sequence it and interact with it, but that's kind of the vibe of Herbs and Stones. But yeah, if you're into less conventional groove box ideas, then it's definitely one to look at. It's also just beautiful to look at as well. It's a really lovely aesthetic. So this one is a really big surprise to me. Playtronica Orbiter. So Playtronica make a lot of those sort of touch controller, touch synthesis devices, but the Orbiter is something quite different. It's a sequencer essentially, and it looks like a little record player that you put coloured things on the tracks, and then it sends out MIDI notes and CC depending on when those coloured things go underneath the different tracks on the disc. And what's really interesting about this is Playtronica talk about making music fun again, and that's always an interesting thing to say, because I don't think music has ever stopped being fun for me, but I get what they mean by that. And I think in some cases when you try and make music fun again, you end up making a toy, and then that isn't as appealing for people who are more serious about having fun with music. But this, I could see myself using a lot. Like, it is simple but satisfying and visual and tactile, and I'm already daydreaming about having two of them and running them out of sync and just quietly nudging around the sequences and nudging around the speeds. The really, really cool thing about it is that you think that the lanes are going to be what define the notes, but it's actually the colours, so it's colour sensing as well. Yeah, probably one of the biggest surprises. I sort of wandered over to the stand not really expecting much, but I really am feeling very positive about this thing now. Yeah, I think I'll probably try and get one. Over on the Polyend stand, they had a prototype of their new Mess pedal. There's one video out about this already. Dave Horwitz did a video on it, sort of going over what it is, but it is essentially a 4-engine sequenceable effects unit, and it has, I guess you would say, an emphasis on like sort of micro loopers, micro delays, reverbs and stuff, but you get for each of the 4 different engines I think it's up to 64 step sequencer that you can then parameter lock the different parameters of the effects. Those sequences can run at different rates, at different lengths, so you can do all of the polymetric stuff. And yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on one now, because I can just think of so many different ways. I love the ideas of using something like this to take something that is quite droneful and making it quite rhythmic. If you've seen their step pedal, their drum machine pedal, it's very much in the same form factor as that, and while I couldn't see where the step kind of fits into my workflow, into what I do, this I absolutely can, and yeah, I'm really, really excited for this one. So I mentioned these 3 kind of together because none of them are new, but they were new to me in terms of getting hands-on time, and they're very much sort of in my wheelhouse, I think. I had some hands-on time with the Beetle Crab Tempera, with the Torso S4, and also the Soma Cosmos, and I lost quite a lot of time to all 3 of them. I love all of the sort of granular ambient soundscapes, and all 3 of them did that kind of thing in different ways, really, really well. The S4 has a new firmware update, which I think addresses some of the missing features that people were maybe concerned about on previous releases. The Tempera is really, really fantastic, beautifully tactile, sounds really, really good. I'm hopefully getting one of those to show on the channel and maybe approach from a more sort of me way of doing things. And I regret playing the Soma Cosmos because I think I'm going to have to buy one of those now. I tried previously to replicate its kind of vibe using other pedals, but I failed, having now played with it. That thing sounds really, really good and really, really fun, and really, really like the sort of stuff that I like. Yeah, so yeah, all 3 of those sort of granular instruments and effects, very, very appealing. So on to what I'll call Modular Corner, and my highlight in terms of a module that I saw at the event is the Black Noise Eclipse, which is an analog stereo VCO that sounds fantastic and is incredibly sensible in the feature set that it provides while still being extremely creative. The way that they're achieving their stereo spread is via sort of changing phase relationships and shaping and wave folding between the two sides. It's all based on a single oscillator core, and there's a lot of sensible stuff in there with FM and having an FM VCA that's CVable. It just sounded great, and because it's all analog, it loves audio rate modulation, and I spent quite a lot of time with the guy from Black Noise just trying new things out with it. Can we modulate this? Can we modulate that? And it all sounded really, really good. And I think there should be more analog stereo VCOs. And this one just did it really, really well. Now, you have to forgive me because I didn't get the name of this module. I somehow missed it, but I'll show it on screen now. It's from Modular Corner, and it's kind of a pull string controller for CV. So you've got a string with a ring on the end that you pull out, and it's tension so that it will naturally go back into the module. So it's kind of like a theremin that you can feel, kind of, but it was really, really fun to use. Now, I will caveat this by saying that I was also stood next to Gaz Williams at the time when I was trying this out, and you can't help but feel enthused when you are around that man. But it was really good. I was sort of playing it like a pseudo theremin. Of course, you could quantize the pitch, but I found that you could play it fairly accurately, but you could use it for anything that you want, like immediate tactile hands-on control of, in a way that is not taking up that much room in your rack for how much expressiveness within space you get. So yeah, I think that's going to be shipping in the next month, and I would keep an eye out for it. I think it should be quite affordable, and it's just a good fun module. The Matrix filter from AJH came out a little bit before the show. I hadn't really seen that many videos on it, and I had a chance to use it at their stand. And what it is just a really good sounding, extremely flexible filter module. What was really interesting, and what they encouraged me to do at the stand, I'm glad that they did, is that you can audio rate modulate the filter model, which sounds like some kind of crazy sync effect. Really, really aggressive, especially with the Polyvox resonance enabled. Just a kind of do everything filter module that does everything very, very well. Definitely a really nice module there. One module I only managed to take a look at right towards the end of my last day is the WMD Scorpium, which is a multi-stage, extremely CVable wave folder, wave shaper. And this thing sounded so good and so aggressive, and just absolutely loved being modulated. I'm a big fan of wave folders, and this one just banged. It was really, really, really great. Sort of quite a lot of real estate in the rack, sort of HB speaking, but with a lot of hands-on control, so it does make sense for that to be the case. Yeah, that one was super cool. One last module I want to mention is the Noise Lab Drum Designer, which is a multi-sound drum module, kick drum, snare, metal, resonator, that kind of thing. Not a huge amount of CV control over the sounds, but the sounds themselves are extremely good. They were saying that they were trying to sort of do that hard, punchy digital sound, but in the analog domain, and it sounded unique. It didn't sound like a lot of other drum machines, and it just sounded good, really good. They also showed me a couple of their other modules, including some really cool wave folders, since we're talking about wave folders at the moment, which I also really liked. The drum module, if you want to just get really good hard drum sounds into your case in a space efficient way, then this looks like a really good module to check out. One of the big highlights of the show last year, of course, was the Korg Berlin Phase 8 physical synthesizer, and they had it at the show again this year. Now with the production hardware, I don't think they're releasing it until next year still, but I think the versions that we saw were basically the finished hardware. I think they've improved the sequencer. It still sounds really cool, and I managed to spend a bit more time playing with it. One of the things that I still wonder about it is whether or not the sounds go low enough, weirdly. Like, I think it sounds really, really great, and I think as a concept it's still really, really interesting, but I'm starting to think a little bit more deeply about how it would fit into my sort of musical landscape. So I'd still definitely like to spend a bunch of time with them. I'd like to run it through a bunch of effects, but we will see in time whether or not it sort of fits more generally into the musical world, but I remain optimistic. From the physical world to the electromagnetic, I managed to spend a bit of time with the Eternal Research Demon Box, which is a 3-channel electromagnetic sensor instrument that has multiple outputs for both audio derived from electromagnetic waves, but then also MIDI notes and CV. So it's kind of like a full electromagnetic workstation if you want to integrate that part of the world around us into your music. Basically, I stared across a table and saw someone waving a power drill over the top of something, and I thought, yes, those are the people I want to go and speak to, and I was right. They had it controlling video synthesis, they had it controlling MIDI synths, they had it controlling the lights over the DMX. Fantastic, great fun, loads of connectivity. Again, trying to work out how it would work into my workflow, I don't know, but I want it to. Like, I want to integrate it into my workflow because it's just so cool, and I'm just so glad it exists as a physical finished product. Somewhat along the same veins, I managed to have a play with the Chroma plate, which was my biggest miss of last year. I somehow didn't see it and didn't play with it all last year, which is mad because it's exactly the sort of thing that I'm into. Absolutely, and having used it, I think I spent too much time using it on the stand actually. I think I was taking up too much space, but having used it fairly extensively on the stand, it's definitely now on my list of things that I would like to get my hands on. It feels very much like it exists in the same performance space as something like the Lyra 8. It's a very physical but ethereal instrument to interact with, and I really loved the sounds that were coming out of it. It just felt very right for the kind of stuff that I like to do, and I could definitely see myself integrating it into my setup for the kind of music that I like to make. So that's gone right up to the top of my list of things that I would like to get my hands on, I think. So I guess we'll end this video with the more sort of traditional, conventional synths that I've kind of ignored throughout the rest of the video. The first one I'll mention is kind of the obvious one, the one that got released the first day of Superbooth, which is the Moog Messenger. I managed to get in on the Moog room before it got too busy and spend some time with it, and I can confirm it sounds really good. That should be no surprise to anyone. The arpeggiator and the sequencer seem really fun and performative. It sounds like a Moog, but also sounds like other stuff. And it's a good form factor. The price, I don't know, I didn't really balk at the price too much. I don't know whether that's because I'm programmed to expect Moogs to be a little bit more expensive and like the build quality to justify it. It has a lot of competition, let's put it that way, in that sort of mono synth space. But although it has lots of competition, it is very, very good. I think they'll sell loads of them, and I think a bunch of other people will complain that they're too expensive. I think it's basically the reality of it, and that's fine. Having those opinions are perfectly valid. The modal carbonate was not an instrument that I was looking to try out, but when I was walking around, there was a bit of a space on the modular stand, so I sat down and started to explore it, and it's a really good sounding synth. Like, the basic tone of it and all of the stuff you can do on top of that basic tone just sounds really, really good. It's, for a digital synth, extremely deep and rich. I ended up spending quite a lot of time with it, sort of building a patch from scratch, basically, to do what I would do on the channel, I guess, and getting to know it a little bit. And yeah, it's a really good sounding digital polysynth. And like I say, not one I was expecting to kind of dig into, but one I would be interested in looking at in some more depth, I think, actually. So if you haven't considered it and you're looking for a digital polysynth with a range of conventional and less conventional sounds, then I would definitely take a look at it. And finally, in kind of the least surprising thing of all times, I did finally spend some time with the Electron Digatone 2, and can confirm that, yeah, I do want one, and I probably will have to sell some stuff to get it. People have been asking when my Digatone 2 videos will be coming out. My answer has been I don't have one, so not until I've got one, and I think having spent a little bit of time with one now, I am going to have to get one, because, you know, I love the Digatone, and actually what this does is expand on most of the stuff that I love. So yeah, I have a project finished on the original Digatone first, but I think now I'm committing at this point, at the end of this video, to getting a Digatone 2. I know it's not new and it's not that exciting, but it was the first time I'd got to play with one, and yeah, I'm going to get a Digatone 2, I think. So I think that's everything I wanted to mention, but what did you see at Superbooth that you liked, whether you were there or on other people's roundup videos? What excited you, what tickled your fancy, so to speak? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoy the video, as always, a like is a massive help and keeps spreading the word about the channel, which helps me keep making videos. I think that's everything. Yeah, so in which case I'll say until next time, thanks for watching, take care, bye bye.